we're talking tonight about perfect imperfection. And those of you that know Dr. Paul, he loves words like that contradict each other. We're going to go with it though tonight because I think a lot of us need to kind of think about that word perfect and think about our lives. We are encouraged by our church, by our boss at work, by just everyone around us to be perfect. And I think, it's just my opinion, but I think sometimes that pressure is a little bit too much. I think about the Olympics coming up and the pressure that those wonderful athletes are under to be perfect and perfect at what they do. And, you know, we'll always try to be perfect. It's in our nature. We'll always try to do better. But at what point do we say, it's okay? It's okay that we're not perfect. I was still born. There were 2 nurses that wouldn't give up on me. They kept giving me CPR, and I took my first breath after 28 minutes. And the doctor said that I would never walk or talk or live a normal life. There are so many things. Unfortunately, I have cerebral palsy. We'll talk more about it later. There's no cure. There's no cream I can apply. There's no pill I can take to make me, not wiggly, but some people think my wiggles are sexy, so I'll just go with that. This is me. A little bit about the way I move and walk. It's funny, right? We made up a word, and there has been many here. Victim of what I call the palsy punch. Who knows what that is? I have this hand that doesn't know it's a part of me, actually. And it does some pretty funny things. The other day. I was somewhere, and this lady kind of stopped and almost fell. And I'm like, oh, are you okay? What happened? And I looked, and it was my arm. And I was like, oh, sorry, my bad, And things like that happen all the time. If you sit on the right side of me, you do so at your own risk. The other thing that I don't have is eyes. I was introduced to eyes for the first time, 17 years old. People didn't walk to class, they skated, right? And I fell a lot. I fell so much that when I would fall, people would know I couldn't get up right away. And so, I don't know if you did this, but roommates would sit down by me. So it would look like we were just copping a squat there instead of looking down at me, and And I was just so appreciative to people that helped. And there were these 2 girls once, bless their hearts. I had fallen, and they were so quick to stand in. And one of them grabbed my leg, and the other one grabbed my arms. And they picked me up, and they were like, okay guys, where is this going? What are you gonna do? Jump rope or swing? A couple of months ago, I was watching, it was one of those, I was in a waiting room, and you know how they have the TVs that go through doctor health tips and all this. And there was a young man on there, and caught my attention because he had CP, and he was in a wheelchair, young kid. in college, and he had accomplished all this good stuff, all this great. He was an advocate and just wonderful on Oprah, just amazing kid. At the end of the interview, Oprah asked him to describe in one brief sentence his view on life and his disability. And he said, Oprah, what I do is I take my whole disability, put that aside, and just become that person without the disability. Think about that. And I want to tell you that this is not true. What do I know? He was on Oprah, right? But I do not agree with this at all. I am who I am today because of my CP. Not in spite of it, but because of it. The thing that bothered the crud out of me was the fact that I could walk in a room and an old lady in the back would get a tear in her eye and say, I'm so inspired by you. And, now I can see how sweet and wonderful that is, but as a teenager, I thought, how dare you? How dare you say that? You don't know anything about me. You don't know my heart. And I thought that I had to prove myself, prove that I was a good person inside, or else people were just nuts. The thing is, you're gonna feel what you're gonna feel. When you walk in this room, when you walk out of the room, you're gonna feel what you're gonna feel. And guess what? I can't control that. Let me share a story. I worked for a guy a couple years ago, and one day he pulled me in his office and he said, I want to tell you about my son. And he said he's 3 years old and he has CP. And he has other things going on, other health issues. He's in and out of the hospital. But he said, when we go out and people stare, he said, that just ticks me off. And I'll tell you why. He said, I want to go over there, grab their arm, and drag them back to my baby. See, look how wonderful he is. Don't you see how perfect he is? In more ways than one. And can you imagine the missed opportunities that people have that just stare and don't find out more? Can you imagine the missed chances that his perfect imperfection would allow them to have?